Like, so to expect myself to be perfect is to expecting them to fail every time. Like, that's not a likelihood at all, right? And so the self-talk for me often was like a reset word. We did like a lot of work on just kind of like a word that made you get out of your head. So for a lot of us, it was super funny. Somebody's was like rabbit, somebody's was like Skittles, whatever was going to like just jar you to a place. But my inner self-talk was because I had confidence, because I expected perfection in myself. I was like, all right, cool, like next play. And so you spoke to that of like, what are you going to do next? Something I preach all the time too, right? Because if something happens, how you respond to it can dictate the rest of your experience, you know?
Yeah.
And so if it's finding that balance of like not caring, I'll be like, oh, whatever, I messed up, whatever, right? And then also not flipping out and being out of control, frustrated, dropping your head, things like that. It's finding a middle ground of like, I know what to do, give me the ball again, or I've got it, right? Like, it's not, I'm the best in the world. Because I think a lot of the times we try to um, pit a negative thought, I suck, I'm really bad, with the complete opposite. And our brains also know that's not true. So if I'm like, man, I really suck, and I'm like, but I'm trained to say something positive, and my positive response is, no, you're the best in the world. My brain's gonna like, I'm not. Like, why would you say that, right? Versus like if my inner thought, my first thought is, man, I really suck, the statement response might be, I don't suck, I made a mistake. I don't suck, that was, like, a bad decision, that was a poor decision, right? Like, it's not who I am, it's about the action that happened, and so I don't, it's kind of the whole thing of, like, I'm not a bad person, I did a bad thing, or I'm not a stupid person, I did a stupid thing, or whatever, right? It's not attaching your worth to that negative thought.
In your opinion, because I can't pinpoint why I get why players, coaches, just people in general in life want to strive towards greatness, however that looks. Because I feel like greatness is a relative term depending on who you're speaking with or what their relationship to that word is. But um, as a therapist as well, Cindy, like, what's the reason behind, especially with athletes, why they're so hard on themselves, or why they don't give themselves that grace of making a mistake? And no, 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 I have to be perfect now. Like, where do you think that stemmed from, would you say?
Well, we can dive into our growth and fixed mindset because a lot of it is the language that they've heard over time that is intended to be well received, right? Like, you are so good. You are the best athlete I've ever seen. You're going to go pro. These sorts of statements seem harmless in the moment, but if a kid internalizes that and doesn't make the varsity team the freshman year, clearly not playing pro. I shouldn't even try anymore. Right? Because I think it falls under that black and white thinking of if it's not this, then it's the complete opposite. And so a lot of it is like what we've heard, messages we've heard, or it can be on the flip side that, instead of something like turning on in your brain when someone tells you, you suck, you're never going to make it. Um, I personally, it was well into my, gosh, it was probably within the last 10 years. So well into my adulthood. My father reminded me that I had an administrator at my high school who said, because I dabbled, I sang in high school, I was in a show choir and all that stuff. Yeah, that was another thing I did. I was like, before I drop the next statement, he said, you should stick to singing because sports aren't going to take you anywhere. And I didn't consciously remember that, but I know darn well that that is one of the reasons that I worked so hard, challenged, stayed in that. Like, it wasn't a conscious decision, but he said that, my father reminded me of that, and I was like, "Oh, yeah. I feel like I wanna call him up and be like, sports have taken me everywhere, thank you."
Right.
Um, so it's just it's a it's an example of how words matter, even if, like, that person may have never remembered he said that, or didn't mean it that way, or was, like, trying to compliment my, abilities on the stage, right?